Okay, this video is how to operate and use the Hawk scroll saw. We're going to go over three different aspects. The first is talking about the different components of the saw. The second is how to change and install a blade. And the third is an actual demonstration on how to cut a piece of wood. So let's start off with some of the different components. Most of these saws have a stand so that it's at a comfortable working height. The motor is tucked underneath the stand. You can't see it, but that's what actually powers it. We've got an on-off switch on the side. Some of the models in the shops also have a magnetic switch that works in conjunction with that other switch. You have to make sure that they're both on in order for it to work. See your instructor if you have any difficulties with that. Next to the on-off switch on the side is a variable speed control knob that actually controls how fast the blade is going up and down. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we do the demonstration. As we look at the unit, we have looks like a clear plastic tube, and that provides some relief from the dust which is generated because it blows a little stream of air. We've got an upper arm assembly. We have a lower arm assembly. We've got a nice flat table. We've got an upper blade chuck. Of course, we have the blade. A lower blade chuck underneath the table. And a hold down bar which keeps your wood or material on the table, and it prevents it from flapping up and down. There's also a tension release on the upper arm assembly, and that will come into play when we go over how to install a blade in the second segment. Okay, when it comes time to changing a blade, there's a couple things you have to do. First thing is to release the tension on the tension lever. Second thing you want to do is loosen the upper chuck by holding it, and that will free the upper arm. At this point, the blade is fastened in the lower chuck, and you remove the whole assembly like this. Now you're going to have to do this if the blade is bent or broken also. This blade is in good condition, but I do want to remove it to show you how to install a new one. Once again, kind of hold it steady, twist the little black knob, and the blade pops out. When it's time to reinstall or install a new blade, you have to look very closely at your blade. The teeth should be pointing in the down direction. You want to be sure that those teeth are in the down direction when you install it in the lower assembly. And you do that simply by inserting it into the hole and tightening up, making sure that the blade is in a nice vertical position with relationship to the lower chuck. And it's time to kind of crouch down, insert the chuck in the lower assembly, once it's seated in position, the blade should be coming up through the hole in the table. Kind of grab onto it with your other hand, lower the upper arm down, and tighten the upper chuck. Good time to double check that the teeth are pointing down, and then apply tension with the tension arm. Now if the blade pops out, it means that you didn't quite tighten it enough, and you just need to go over and tighten it at that point. That's how you install a blade. Time for the demonstration. What you want to do is make sure that your hair is tied back. If you have any loose jewelry, that's taken off. Your safety goggles are on. You've already done the safety questionnaire. Those things go for almost any power tool or machine in here. Always make sure you have that stuff done. Then what you want to do is do all the adjustments on the machine while it's turned off. For this example, I'm going to be doing a small cutout on a piece of pine. Now, pine is a soft wood, which means that I can adjust my variable speed knob to a higher position because it will cut through a soft wood fairly easily. If I am cutting a harder wood, like walnut, because this blade is so small, we're going to adjust our variable speed down to a slower speed. A good rule of thumb is the harder the material and the thicker the material, the slower the speed you want to go. So we're going to be cutting a little piece of pine here. A couple things to remember. You always want to keep the material flat on the table. You want to adjust the hold down so it's applying light pressure on your material. Right now this one is set just right. If you did have to adjust it, it's a matter of loosening this and raising it up or lowering it down to whatever the level of your material is, and then tightening up. Remember, the on-off switch is over here. And you can see that by lowering this variable speed knob, it slows it down, and by turning it to the right, it speeds it up. You can see that the material was flat on the table before, during, and after the cut. You can see also that this machine can do quite intricate cuts. You'll be able to do a fair number of projects with this. When you are done with this machine, remove all scraps and dust so that the next person is ready to use it. Move on to the next step of whatever you're doing.